What if the story of Rumpelstiltskin had ended differently? What if the queen, desperate and trembling, never managed to guess the strange little man's name? Instead of saving her child, she would be forced to hand him over. Imagine the cries of a mother echoing in a silent palace. Imagine a bargain fulfilled and a destiny rewritten. Tonight we enter a darker chapter of the fairy tale, a chapter where silence breeds curses and a single unsaid name reshapes the lives of generations. The final guess left the queen's lips, broken and breathless. She whispered the last name she could think of, and when Rumpelstiltskin only laughed, the chamber turned cold. His laughter was sharp, cruel, triumphant. He stepped forward, snatched the infant from her arms, and cradled the child with twisted delight. The queen lunged forward, screaming, but the king held her back. In a blink of light and smoke, Rumpelstiltskin vanished with the baby. The sound of the queen's sobs filled the hall, and the silence that followed would haunt the palace for decades. Far away, in a darkened forest, beneath crooked trees and a sky covered in storm clouds, Rumpelstiltskin laid the child within a glowing circle of fire. He muttered ancient spells, weaving threads of magic around the boy's fragile body. The air thickened, sparks hissed, and the infant cried in terror. With every word, the boy's future twisted. When the ritual ended, the baby no longer belonged to the queen. His identity was erased, his soul bound to darkness. From that night onward, he would be known only as Rumpelstiltskin II, the cursed heir to a monstrous legacy. The king declared the event forbidden. No one was to speak of the child again. To the world, the infant had never existed. The queen, pale and hollow, was forced to attend banquets with a smile, her crown shining while her heart bled. But at night, alone, she clutched empty blankets and wept. The sound of phantom cries haunted her. Servants swore they heard a baby wailing in the halls, though no child remained. The palace became a tomb of silence, filled not with joy but with the unspoken memory of a bargain gone wrong. Meanwhile, in the forest, the stolen child grew. His hair darkened, his eyes glowed faintly with the remnants of the curse. Rumpelstiltskin taught him spells to wither crops, songs that made wolves gather, and riddles to trick desperate villagers. The boy learned obedience, but deep in his heart, something stirred. An emptiness, a hunger for a touch he could not remember. Sometimes, staring at the moon, he felt tears on his cheeks without knowing why. The boy was powerful, but inside him lay a wound older than memory, the wound of being unloved. At 15, his master sent him into the world. "Prove yourself," Rumpelstiltskin demanded. The boy found a poor mother whose child was sick. He offered salvation, but only if she guessed his name. For 3 nights she tried. For 3 nights she failed. On the 3rd night, her baby was taken. The villagers screamed and cursed him, but the boy carried the infant into the night. His hands shook. He did not understand why his chest ached, why hot tears burned his face. The curse was alive inside him, but so was the memory of a cradle he never knew. Soon, whispers spread through the land. It was said the creature had returned, younger, stronger, merciless. "He is Rumpelstiltskin's son," some said. "He is his shadow reborn," others whispered. Mothers clutched their children tighter. Fathers sharpened swords they would never dare to raise. At night, doors were barred, candles snuffed, prayers whispered, and so the boy, now called Rumpelstiltskin II, carried not only a name but also a reputation that spread like wildfire, a monster before he even knew who he was. Years turned into decades. The queen could no longer bear the palace of lies. She cast aside her jewels, her silks, her titles, and left the king behind. She became a wanderer, her hair gray, her body frail. By 80, she was little more than a beggar, clothed in rags, surviving on bread crusts and pity. Yet her eyes, dimmed by age, still searched the world. For 60 years, she carried the same prayer in her heart, that she might see her child again before death claimed her. One cold night, the old woman heard screams from a cottage. She hurried forward and saw a figure at the door. His posture, his voice, the cruel curl of his smile. It was unmistakable. Though decades had passed, she recognized him instantly. It was her son. Rumpelstiltskin II stood tall, demanding the infant of a desperate young mother. The old woman staggered back, her breath caught in her throat. The child she had lost had returned, but as the very monster who once stole him. The old woman's heart quaked, but her resolve hardened. She could not run again, not this time. She followed him from village to village, hiding in shadows, her steps uneven, her lungs burning. Each night brought her closer to collapse, yet each night she pressed on. Every cry of a stolen child tore open her wound anew, but it also gave her strength. She knew she had only one chance left to undo her mistake, even if it cost her the last breath in her body. Then one night, fate answered. By a fire in the woods, Rumpelstiltskin II sang. It was a twisted lullaby, a chant half mad, half proud. Within the rhyme, he spoke his own name, clear, sharp, undeniable. The old woman froze. After 6 decades of silence, she had finally heard it. The name that held the key to breaking the curse. Her son's curse, her curse. She sank to her knees. The truth crashed down upon her like a storm. The boy was not simply a victim. He was her baby, her flesh and blood, twisted into a monster by her failure. His cruelty was not his own. It was the echo of her silence, of the king's greed, of a bargain never broken. In her wrinkled hands, she pressed her face, weeping. For 60 years she had carried guilt, and now she understood its full weight. The next day, she found a young mother in despair. Her baby had only 1 night left. The old woman grasped her hands and whispered, her voice trembling, "I know his name. Speak it. Do not falter. It will break him." The mother stared, hope flooding her face. The old woman prayed her words would be enough. After all, names had power, and this name carried the weight of 2 lifetimes. In the village square, Rumpelstiltskin II appeared before the crowd, confident and mocking. "Guess, if you dare," he sneered. But before he could finish, the young mother lifted her voice. "Your name is Rumpelstiltskin II." The words struck him like thunder. His smile shattered, his body trembled, and for the first time in his cursed life, fear filled his eyes. The ground shook. The sky split with light. Magic ripped away from him like chains snapping apart. His youthful form aged in an instant, melting into the body of a weary old man. 60 years of stolen time crashed back onto his frame. His eyes, no longer glowing, darted wildly, confused, broken, human. The crowd gasped. The monster was gone. What remained was only a man. Through the crowd, the old woman stepped forward. Her voice quivered as she whispered a word she had not spoken in decades. "Son." The man turned. At first, he did not know her. But when he looked into her eyes filled with grief, love, and guilt, something inside him stirred. Memories he had never known returned. The warmth of arms, the echo of a lullaby. In that moment, he understood. She fell to her knees beside him. He collapsed into her arms. The two clung to each other as if they could make up for 60 stolen years in a single embrace. Tears streamed down their faces. The villagers, once terrified, now watched in silence, many of them weeping too. For in that embrace was not just sorrow, but forgiveness, a broken bond reforged at the edge of time. The old woman raised her voice and told the truth at last. She spoke of the king's greed, of her own weakness, of the bargain struck in desperation. She admitted her failures, laid her guilt bare before the people. No more silence, no more lies. And as she spoke, the villagers saw not a beggar, not a queen, not a monster's mother, but a human being, broken and brave enough to confess. The story spread across the land, not as a tale of riddles or secret names, but as a warning of greed's poison, of silence's cost, of truth's power. Parents told it to their children, speak the truth, no matter how painful. Do not let fear or pride steal your voice, for silence too can be a curse, and sometimes the failure to speak a single name can change the course of a lifetime. And so, mother and son lived their final years together, two weary souls reunited at last. They had lost a lifetime, but in their last days they found peace. The curse was broken, but its scars remained, carved into history. And as this story closes, one question lingers. If a single word, a single name, held the power to change everything, would you have the courage to say it?